I'm Tanya, and welcome to this video series on how to declutter your life. In this video, we're going to focus on how to declutter your outer world and what that looks like and my 5-step process to do it. So let's get started with what does that look like? Well, when you're decluttering your outer world, I like to group it into 4 categories. There's definitely more, but just 4 general ones, which are your space, your time, your financial, and relationships. And so when you're decluttering your spaces, the big question is, what can you let go of that you no longer need and is like keeping you stuck in the past? And that's not just keeping you stuck in the past with, oh, someone gave me this object during this event. It's about keeping you stuck in the past with old ways of thinking and old attachments and old belief systems. So starting with your physical spaces can be very empowering, and it really helps create that momentum. And then I move to looking at your time, because you can't really focus on time management if your space is a disaster and you're trying to look for things and you're wasting time looking for things. So after I help people with their physical space, we usually work with getting back into your natural rhythm, looking at how you're spending your time, and most of all, decluttering all of those time wasters. And that includes saying yes too often when you really need to be saying no. And where do you need to be saying yes? So I'll get into the more specifics of what that looks like after. When we look at financial, well, what does that look like? What relationship do you want to have with money? What habits and beliefs and things do you want to let go of around money and how you spend it? And then lastly, looking at relationships, okay, it doesn't mean declutter all the people in your life. It's more about what aspects of the relationship need to go. Are there certain dynamics, certain patterns that are not helpful, that are creating harm for you or the other person? What needs to change in those dynamics? And yes, when you go through a process of deep change, big change, sometimes the people around you don't like it, because that kind of means they have to change and they don't want to. So it might be that you cannot resolve a particular issue with someone, so then you have to dissolve the relationship. So sometimes it does mean letting go of some people in your life and making room for newer, healthier relationships where you're respected and honored. Step 1 is connect. So doesn't matter what area you start on with, doesn't matter the order. Once you go through one area, once you move to the next, you're gonna do the same thing. And it's always about connecting with your values and intentions first, not, oh, I wanna lose weight, or oh, I wanna declutter my home and have an organized home. No, we need to take a few steps back and go, well, what are your values? What's important to you? What's important to you now? Because your values can change. What are your intentions? Okay. And then from there, make this a long list. That's usually what I do with clients. Make a long list of about 10 values, and then we group them into 3 themes. And by grouping them to 3 themes, it makes it so much easier to kind of have these as anchors for decision making. So let's say well-being, connection, and creativity is important for me. And anytime I need to make a decision of something I need to let go of or something new that I'm doing, I can reference those 3 areas that I'm focusing on, those 3 things that are important to me, instead of going, oh, I don't know, and then getting stuck in old patterns. You're connecting with those values and with those intentions. And so they're great anchors. Another part of step 1 is, well, what are your anchors? What are your anchors going to be during this process to get you back into ventral vagal, back into alignment, back into feeling calm and confident if you get triggered, if you're getting stressed and feeling overwhelmed? So creating a list of things that help you do that. So for example, maybe going for a walk, maybe you have a special breathing technique that you like, but just being really conscious and clear of, these are the things I'm going to do during this process to help me stay grounded and connected. So now step 2. Step 2 is create. Okay, I know what's important to me. What is it that I want to create right now? Because if you're just like, oh, I want to declutter my life, I want it to be easier, again, that deeper meaning, that deeper why isn't there, so you're unlikely to follow through. So really getting clear on what is it that you want to create, how does it align with your values, and what needs to change? What needs to change to make that happen? And it could be, maybe you need to let go of something, maybe it could be a habit that you need to change, maybe it's something you need to learn or know that's going to help you with that change. So getting clear on what it is you want to create, and also what is it that you need to change to make it happen. Now you're ready for step 3, which is release. Yes, so this is the part that you're letting go, and it's probably the most intense step. However, it's also the most rewarding and the one that gives you the most awareness, clarity, and insight. And so you're getting an opportunity to do an inventory of an area. So for example, if you're doing your clothing, if you're focusing on space, okay, you're gonna sort all your clothing first and get a realistic picture of what's going on. How many white t-shirts do you have? If you're looking at time, you would do a similar thing. You would take an inventory of how much time am I spending watching TV? How much time am I spending scrolling on my phone or checking my email or worrying about something? Because then you get an accurate view of the situation and what needs to let go. Because often, especially with budgeting, when I work with people with budgeting, they don't realize how much they're spending in general and on particular areas. Because it might be $5 here, $20 there, it adds up. So you need to do this full inventory of that area and go one category at a time, and then reference those values and what you want to create to help you let go of what doesn't match. And then you're kind of starting to notice things when you're doing this. You're kind of going, oh, well, I realized I'm holding on to stuff out of fear. And that fear is about disappointing other people, because I'm afraid that I'm going to disappoint them if I let go of this because they gave it to me and I feel guilty, or they have these certain expectations and I want to meet these expectations. So you start understanding why you have that clutter. And that's why this step is so powerful. When you're going through it, it's really important to reflect afterwards when you've done that decluttering, because it really helps you understand those deeper patterns and why you created that clutter to begin with. So now moving on to step 4, which is recalibrate. And this is where you just start grouping and zoning things, because that helps create clarity and focus. So for example, you're not going to have those white t-shirts in 5 places. They're all going to be in one place. That's why when you're looking at maybe your time, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to dedicate 20 minutes a day to looking on this particular social media platform, or I'm going to allow myself, I'm going to watch a show twice a week instead of watching it every single day for 3 hours. And you're letting go, and then you're creating boundaries. That's the second part of this. So you're zoning and you're creating boundaries so that that clutter doesn't come back, or those time wasters. And then you're going to revisit your intentions and see how you can tweak things. So for example, if you're organizing your space, you might go, okay, you know what? Part of my intentions, part of my values and what I'm creating is about learning. I really want to spend more time learning. So I need to create a space in my home for that. And that's where I'm going to put those particular belongings to support that habit. And then it's not all over the home. Okay, same thing with maybe finances. How are you going to create a new rhythm? How are you going to create that structure and organization so that you can keep track and continue to monitor? And what are those boundaries around your spending so that you're not accumulating again and doing that retail therapy if that's something that you were doing? So the last one I mentioned, rhythm, is step 5, and that is rhythm. Because once you've gotten rid of that clutter, you have more space, you have more clarity, you have more organization and focus. So everything is in its place, you know what you need to be doing. Now you can start getting back into your natural rhythm. You can start looking at, what routines do you need to introduce to maintain the spaces and to maintain the changes depending on what area you worked on. Because again, these 5 steps can be used with anything. And What boundaries do you need to set more specifically? Like get really specific, like in your relationships, in work, maybe in how you're spending your time or the food you're eating or what you're watching. Get really specific on what are the boundaries you need to set and make sure that they align with those values, intentions, and what you want to create. And really importantly, what's your self-care going to look like? That's another one of those buzzwords like trauma, but what does it look like to connect with yourself and get into your own rhythm? That's another way to look at it. Because if you're always on go, 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 go mode and you're not connecting with yourself, you probably notice you don't have a lot of patience and you might be experiencing a lot of anger or opposite, a lot of sadness. However, the more you connect with yourself and get into a rhythm where you spend time doing things in the morning, and I like to ask people to do this in the morning and the evening, and even around lunchtime to do a quick little connection exercise, maybe 5-minute meditation, 5-minute walk, just something to bring you back to your body, back to you, back to your spirit and your sense of being. This will help you with your overall mental health and helping you stay in alignment and helping you stay in your power and in ventral vagal. So this is a great process that you can use with anything. You can use it in your physical spaces. You can do it every single day of going, okay, what's important to me today? What do I want to create? What do I have that I'm going to do? Maybe something needs to go. How am I going to reshuffle it, recalibrate it, and organize it? And what are the things I'm going to do to support me? And how am I going to get into a rhythm? What are my routines that I'm going to do today so that I can focus and create this? So just a quick recap. If you want to declutter your outer world, take it one step at a time and focus on a particular area. And I always recommend starting with space, then looking at your time, your natural rhythm, then things like finances, work, relationships, and using these 5 steps of connecting with those values and intentions, create what it is that you want to create, release, getting rid of what's getting in the way to make that happen, and then recalibrate, so getting organized, seeing what's left, seeing what you need to do, setting those boundaries, and last of all, getting into your rhythm so that you can maintain all the changes and sustain it. I'm Tanya, thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, remember to like and subscribe, and check out my new monthly memberships in the links below. You can also book or apply for a free alignment call, and I'll put those links in the bottom as well. Take care, and until next time.